7,000 years ago, the first really oceanic people came out of China, and it came out of Taiwan. Then you get to Polynesia, this oceanic country bounded by Hawaii in the north and New Zealand in the southwest, and Rapa Nui in the east. 10 million square miles, bigger than Russia. And it was discovered by these extraordinary people. They were really the astronauts of our ancestors. They were the greatest explorers on the face of the earth.
Unaided by modern instruments, these extraordinary explorers discovered and settled every livable landmass in the Pacific, relying solely on a complex understanding of the stars, the winds, the waves, and other cues from nature. Guided by this traditional wisdom and perspective, Hawaiians mastered the science of living sustainably on islands. Western expansion, however, brought not only new ways of seafaring, but a shift in perspective on how to interact with the natural environment. Eventually, traditional practices and worldviews were nearly forgotten. But a group of determined individuals got together in the 1970s to resurrect indigenous wisdom by building a traditional canoe and sailing it in the way of the ancestors. Hokule'a's first voyage to Tahiti reawakened a cultural pride, identity, and an intimate connection to place. In a generation, Hokule'a has sailed over 140,000 nautical miles to reunite the world's largest oceanic nation. Today, Hokule'a voyages around the planet with a message of Malama Honua, or caring for island Earth, with a firm belief that blending traditional and modern technologies will help us find our way to a healthier future.
Hokulea, to us, to go around the world, has this enormous potential to go to 40, 50 countries on the planet, to be with the great navigators on Earth. And I'm not talking about those in canoes. I'm talking about those who are doing things to give kindness and compassion to the Earth and those who live on it, those navigators. We're not going to change the world, but we're going to go and build a network of people around the Earth who are going to change it. And our job is to help them be successful.
After sailing more than 16,000 nautical miles on the worldwide voyage, Hokule'a now faces new challenges and risks on the most dangerous leg to date.
It's probably the most complex sail plan we've ever had. It's 2,400 miles, direct line going from Mauritius to Madagascar to the eastern side of South Africa. And then we go around the southern tip of Madagascar. We enter the Mozambique Channel. It's got the fastest oceanic, it's got a western boundary current in the world. It's stronger than the Gulf Stream. This leg, more than any leg, I think in the last 40 years, is really trying to be able to be really, really intelligent about how you deal with the wind plus the wave. As it goes east, what fills in behind it, behind the storm, is strong southerly. So when the current comes down and it goes against the wind, what it does, it makes the waves bigger and it stacks them and brings them closer together. Hokulea does not like those stacking waves, and she's not built for that, and the canoe is not designed for that. And so if we get into the situation where it is so rough, then I do think that there's nothing you can do. The canoe will be in overwhelm. You won't be able to steer her, you won't be able to raise sails, and so basically all you do is sit it out. If we get a bad forecast, we go into the nearest port, wait for the bad weather to go, and then we wait for the good weather to come, and we go to the next port.
The unique challenges of this leg are also reflected in the crew, which includes both veteran and younger sailors.
It's a challenge. It's got risk. We know it. We understand it. We've been preparing for this particular leg. This is a good crew, and I can hear it in their voice. I can feel it with them. They understand what they're getting into. They're matured and they're focused.
Among the crew is Archie Kalepa, former director of ocean safety for Maui County and current safety officer aboard Hokule'a.
I don't think I've ever been more afraid of a particular leg than I am of this leg. But in the same sense, I think that I'm really more aware of what's going on and my role within this canoe. I can take some of my knowledge that I've gained over the years of being on the ocean and look and see what's out there and be able to analyze what I see as safe for the canoe, for the crew, and for the rest of this particular leg. We always work from the top down, okay? So you take this strap. In my mind, I played out all the worst case scenarios so that when and if that does happen, at least I'm a little bit more prepared. Number one is knowing the responsibility I have to the people of Hawaii, and really the responsibility that each one of us, including myself, have to the canoe and every other crew member on board that canoe.
I've been preparing for this leg for a long time. Years of research and this long process of mitigating risk, and at the same time looking at enormous opportunities of having Hokulea touch the sand of Africa. Wow. That notion that there would be possibly this moment that you'd put her on the sand of Africa, halfway around the world. The genesis of humanity and us being the youngest culture to go back and to pay respect to humankind. I mean all of that. So, you know, it may be the most dangerous leg, but it's also one of the most pivotal legs.
While in Richards Bay, South Africa, the Hokule'a crew visited Isamangaliso Wetland Park. Designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1999, the 820,400-acre park comprises diverse ecosystems that are also of great significance to the native people. As the first landfall in Africa, the crew took this time to honor the indigenous community of the area.
Why was it necessary to pay respect to the people of this land? Well, because we're visitors.
It's showing that we are welcoming you.
And we expect no less from others to come to our land. So it's mutual, you know? The respect must be mutual. For us, it was our opportunity to express to them our intent is positive, it's good, it's full of aloha.
Zulu tribal elders accompanied the crew on a tour of the park and invited them to share in their culture.
It was very nice to be able to share this with the elders and the people of the area that came with us. One of the great things about today was to be able to exchange with other peoples who are bringing back their culture as much as they can and regaining control of their aina, their land. You know, it's important that we understand each other and how we both share the same sort of cultural values that tie us to our land.
Within the park, there's a lot of diversity. Now we're having tourists to come in and see the nature, the biodiversity and all that. We have many different species. We have the oceans, we have the lake, we have the inland animals, all the stuff like that. It's kind of diverse area. It's very special in a way to people who love nature and appreciate it.
We're in South Africa. There's a lot of live game here.
They were given the land back, and what they've done now is they've taken the cattle off and they're recreating what was there in the past, the grasslands, bringing in the animals that used to reside there. We saw rhinos We saw hippopotamuses, we saw crocs, crocodiles, horned animals, baboons, monkeys, and all of the above.
The organization strives to keep everything in this area at its natural state, to conserve it for people to see how the area is. Even an ant is just as important as a lion, as important as an elephant. I mean, every animal has its role in the ecosystem, in the food chain and stuff like that. So it's very important to us that we take care of the environment, we conserve, and for future generation.
The important thing for us to do as we go around the world is to recognize those people who are doing good for the earth. And they are, and that's one of the wonderful things about what happened today, was to be able to view that.
Hokule'a then continued on her journey along the eastern shores of South Africa before arriving in Mossel Bay, the site currently believed to be the origin point of all modern humans.
The cave that we're standing in now is about 30 meters or so above present sea level. It is known as Cave 13B. We've had several seasons of excavation in this cave, which is now known all over the world and certainly in the archaeological academic environment. And the main finds that we've made here are evidence for early systematic use of marine resources from the coastline, so in other words, shellfish and so on. And those date to 162,000, which is by far the earliest evidence that we have for human behavior. Over there, that's a piece of bone sitting in over there.
Big piece of bone.
My thrust now, at this time in my life, is to try and make this archaeology relevant to us as a species today, who we are, what are we doing to the world that we occupy and where we're going on into the future. So I am making a direct link between this roadmap of our development, between what we are today and what we were originally, how we treated the environment originally. I think what's hugely significant is the ethos behind the sailing canoe. And the mission of this worldwide voyage to not only bring awareness of nature and the importance of looking after it, but the Hokulea crew connecting with people working in various parts of the world in trying to change the way we treat the environment. It's almost to me that even though the culture of Hawaii might be of the youngest that we have on the planet,
Aloha!
they very definitely have kept alive part of this original design.
How many of you guys love the ocean? Raise your hand. That's the most important thing.
This design of caring for not only each other, but caring for everything else in nature. And that, to me, is an incredibly clear and powerful indicator of how strongly we still retain within us this connection with nature.
After honoring our common ancestors, the voyage continued on to nearby False Bay.
We made a decision to go to False Bay because of the extraordinary work of many people that are there that are in this area doing exceptional things to protect the world's oceans. And we aloha our great friend and mentor and teacher and inspiration, Dr. Sylvia Earle, who's created this as one of the Earl's great ocean hope spots.
In 2014, False Bay was one of 6 areas in South Africa designated a Mission Blue Hope Spot, a special place critical to the health of the ocean. Mission Blue is an initiative of the Sylvia Earle Alliance that works to ignite public support for the protection of our oceans by creating a global network of marine protected areas.
It's just incredibly productive here, but because it's getting fed by this incredible amount of upwelling, it's just off the charts.
Craig Foster is an internationally recognized award-winning documentary filmmaker whose films reflect a deep passion and commitment to the natural world. He has been exploring False Bay nearly every day for years, building an intimate relationship with the place and its inhabitants in one of the most ecologically rich coastlines in the world.
So this is one of the air-breathing fish. As long as he keeps it a little damp, he can last for 5 hours out the water. So air-breathing fish, pretty cool, yeah. So this is the giant limpet. Not a particularly big one, but yeah. They get huge like this. It's rock-penetrating lichen. So this lichen is penetrating 2 miles into the earth and pulling up. It's hunting for different minerals and pulling them to the surface. That's why it's got this strong color. And it will feed the rest of the environment. Yeah, big snakes. Cobras, mole snakes, and this fishing line kills unbelievable numbers of things. That guy's a master of camouflage. He didn't get past Archie.
After a tour of the coastline, it was time to get in the water.
So what's going to happen now, we're going to go in this water. It's probably about maybe 60 degrees Fahrenheit. What's going to happen is, as you get in, your body is going to be a little bit shocked. All you have to do is get past the first 3 minutes or 2 minutes, and you'll be amazed how you start to thermoregulate. Obviously, I've done this every day almost for 5 years, so my window is very long, over an hour. Okay, so your window is going to be shorter, and just enjoy that window. As soon as you then start to feel like signs of cold or shivering, that's the time to get out. It is hard in the water, so I commend you guys for trying this. Thank you. You know, especially from Hawaii. There's a 30% chance we will see a fairly large shark. Okay, they are totally harmless. Okay.
Craig led the crew through the breathtaking kelp forest, braving bone-chilling waters without wetsuits. An exercise, Craig believes, helps divers get into the mindset of our earliest ancestors.
These early people living on this coast, swimming, diving, wading out the whole day in the really cold conditions, especially in winter, would have been fully cold adapted. So when you cold adapt, your hormonal system, your vascular system, your entire immune system is massively boosted. I mean, the difference you feel is night and day. It's huge.
It was an honor and privilege to be with him. I blink into his work. We were taken on a tour of an amazing ecological system, some of the richest, nutrient-rich oceans in the world. We were here to do what we were supposed to do on the canoe, and that's to capture stories. Not just hope, but people taking extraordinary action. Protect the oceans. In doing so, you protect the earth.
After voyaging more than 41 days across some of the world's most dangerous oceans, Hokula and her crew were officially welcomed to Cape Town, South Africa, marking the halfway point of the Malama Honua worldwide voyage. Among the crowd was international peace advocate Archbishop Desmond Tutu. The ceremony also celebrated the strong connection between Hawaii and Cape Town, as well as our common ancestral past.
We lift our hearts to those who have come across the oceans to be with us here today. And so I welcome our Polynesian sisters and brothers who have literally sailed halfway across the world to connect, or rather to reconnect with us in our gorgeous mother city. Welcome home.
Years ago, a canoe load of experienced, seasoned sailors and explorers landed on the shores of Hawaii. Thus ended the final chapter of the great human odyssey. It gives me great pride and great honor and great humility to proclaim this day that we have come full circle. We've come full circle. The end of the journey, you always arrive back at the beginning, the start of the story. And it is very special to come to know where you began all over again for the very first time. My family, we are home. Thank you.
Aloha Tahiti, aloha nui e, mai powi na ia ue matawai, ma ke ala a kau e lele nei, malama i te po i te ao. Ala ka I mai hokule ai ka wa kau lua holo I ke kailoa.
If we identify ourselves and we define ourselves by our culture, by the place we come from, then, like Kalepa had said, we are the youngest culture in the world. To be able to travel and the privilege to cross the oceans and come to the land of the oldest culture, the Genesis, the beginning, that genetically we all come from. When we look for peace, it should be the recognition that we're way more alike than we're different, and that we need to celebrate that likeness and celebrate the things about respect, about dignity, about acceptance, about aloha. And it starts here. Let me tell you, this has been the most challenging voyage I've been on. It's the most dangerous voyage I've been on, and yet this is probably the most richest voyage I've been on.